Welcome to Soil and Soul, a Catholic Passage podcast. Before beginning today's episode, we give God the first fruits of time and attention by listening to His Word and reflecting upon it with one of our spiritual fathers. May you be blessed with the Lord in your minds, on your lips, and in your hearts to bear the fruit that eternally
My name is
endures.
Father Randy Schon, pastor of Holy Cross Church in Sioux City. I will be reading and reflecting upon the Gospel reading for the Mass for Monday of the 29th week of Ordinary Time. It is from the Gospel of Luke. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Friend, who appointed me as your judge and arbitrator?" Then Jesus said to the crowd, "Take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions." Then Jesus told them a parable. There was a rich man whose land produced a bountiful harvest. He asked himself, "What shall I do? For I do not have enough space to store my harvest." Then he thought, "This is what I shall do. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones. Then I shall store all my grain and other goods, and I shall say to myself, 'Now as for you, you have so many good things stored up for many years. Rest, eat, drink, be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this night your life will be demanded of you, and all the things that you have prepared, to whom will they belong?' Thus will it be for the one who stores up treasure for himself, but is not rich in what matters to God." The Gospel of the Lord. We're at harvest time in Iowa and other parts of the country, and in many places we are getting very bountiful harvest. So that reading from today can make sense to us. And hopefully we aren't foolish like the man in the Gospel. What's the worst thing about what he does? He just thinks only of himself. He says, "Now I have all these things, I can eat, drink, and be merry." This Gospel is where that phrase is from, along with one of the readings in the Old Testament. But it's a foolish person who says it, because eat, drink, and be merry, the focus is only on ourselves, not on anyone else. And when the man has this rich harvest, he thinks only of himself and not of anyone else. Many times in parables, Jesus tells us about the dangers of greed and wealth. And it isn't just having the wealth, it's having wealth and not doing anything with it, or at least not doing anything to help out anyone else. The idea of using his wealth, using his possessions, to help someone who doesn't have what he has never enters the mind of the person in the story. All he can do is think of, "I'll just save it for myself, and I can rest and have a lot for many years to come." And that's his mistake. What good do all of those possessions do? What good does all of his wealth do if he dies tonight? It just goes to someone else. He can't take it with him. This Gospel also is an illustration of that particular piece of wisdom. We can't take it with us when we die. So we are given the responsibility by God to make good use of the resources that we have received, of the wealth, the possessions, anything that we have received from God. It is important that we save. It is important that we take care of ourselves. But when we have more than enough, it should enter our mind that we can do something good with what we have for the benefit of those who don't have what we have. And that was the sin, that was the mistake of the man in the Gospel today. He thought only of himself and not of anyone else. And at the end, what good would his rich harvest do him? What good would his large bins and huge amounts of grain do him if he were to die that night? It would only go to someone else because he can't take it with him. He was foolish. Anyone who only stores up treasure for himself and forgets about God and forgets about the needs of other people is foolish and not rich in what matters to God. So as we reflect upon this reading, We maybe aren't extremely wealthy, but we're probably decent and well enough to do that. Most of our needs can be taken care of. And we need to plan for our futures and save, but we also need to make sure that we help those who don't have as much as we do. That we do share some of our excess, some of our surplus with our other brothers and sisters. Don't be foolish, like the man in the gospel. Be wise in what matters to God.
Take a moment to recall that one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes forth from the mouth of God. Pause to reflect upon God's word to you today. Did you notice anything captivate your attention or stir in your heart? While reflecting, share your thoughts with God. When you are ready, resume this podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of Soil and Soul. God bless you and thank you for joining us.
Welcome to Soil and Soul, a new Christian podcast for those who want to invest in yields that count most. 5 days a week during planting and harvest seasons, Soil and Soul looks to help you sow seeds and reap a golden harvest.
Hey everyone, this is Father Brian Feller here with you on Soil and Soul. It's another Passing on the Faith Through Farming on Monday, and I'm joined today with Brian and Britney Rosburg, my parishioners up here in Estherville, Iowa, St. Patrick's. Brian and Brittany, how's it going today?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. So where are you guys at? I know all three of us are in different locations right now. So I'm in my office here at the church. And Brian, where are you? And then Brittany.
I am out in the combine trying to finish up one of our last fields of corn right now.
Nice.
And I just drove out to join him in the field and participate.
Wait, are you in the cab with Brian?
No, I'm in my own vehicle, just with the way to get this to work. We had to separate, but I was for a little bit hanging out with him in there.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's right, because you're on separate microphones and so forth. Well, this is great. The episodes on Monday are more about family life in the context of agriculture and farming. Of course, with family comes faith here on Catholic Passage. And so can you guys tell us a little bit about your family and your operations?
Yeah, so Brian and I met in college at Iowa State University and got married and moved up to the Estherville area. We have 4 kids. Our oldest is 12. And then we have a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 10-month-old baby.
Wow, you guys are going those busy years of life. And Brian, can you tell us a little bit about your farming operations?
Yeah, so we farm up here just north of Estherville. We raise some corn, soybeans. We have a swine nursery barn where we get in young baby pigs and take them up to about 65 pounds or so. And then from our place, they'll leave and go to another place to a finishing barn. And then our kids have plenty of their own projects going on. Our oldest daughter, Briley, started her own little sheep herd for each, so she'll have her lambs to show. Then they have their chickens, and the boys usually get some bottle lamb, stuff like that. So got all sorts of stuff going on the farm at any given day.
It sounds like I was thinking of a family circus. See, there's that cartoon, in the newspaper. Can you ever relate to that with everything going on and the kids and you helping them with things?
Oh, yeah, that's very relatable.
What do you think are some of the, I don't know, important lessons of life or experiences that you want your kids to have and you think they can gain from these projects or living on the farm?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about like a good Midwest, like Iowa. We're known for having a good work ethic, so we're definitely trying to instill that in our kids by letting them do these projects. And, we certainly are there to help support them and guide them, but ultimately we try to teach them it's their responsibilities. And these animals are relying on them to come out and feed them and make sure they have water and clean bedding and things like that. Like when our daughter first got started, she had bottle lambs. And life on the farm, things don't always go the way you expect. And we've lost some bottle lambs with the kids. And they've learned that that's kind of a part of life and a part of farming. And, you have the good with the bad.
Right. Brian, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd say, along those lines, like they've learned a lot of lessons, but they've got to make a lot of good memories. I remember coming out and riding in the combine with my my grandpa or even my grandma helped, and my dad, and our kids have gotten to do that same thing, being able to grow up and just teaching them to be extra safe around stuff and getting some life lessons at a younger age, and almost having a better realization or a higher maturity around um, some of life's issues before a lot of their classmates do.
Right. They see the beginning of life and the end of life where those animals can become food. And with that, I think your kids are experiencing kind of a stewardship where here we have these wonderful resources and parts of creation like the animals and the crops and as a steward, you get to interact with them and to guide them to really care for the animals. Because I mean, as a farmer, can you guys give some comments on actually be attentive to the pigs as they're growing? It's not just like, hey, there's pigs, just feed them and we're done. I mean, is what kind of care goes into raising pigs?
Yeah,
And
it's kind of more intensive than what people would maybe think or realize. Our barn holds up to 4,000 pigs. That's a lot. And when you go out there and you're doing chores, you're in each pen, and each pen holds, a certain number of pigs. But you're going through and you're making sure that they look like they have full bellies, that they've been eating and drinking. And there's certain signs you can watch, for their nose if it's damp or how their ears are looking. If they're starting to look sick, we're going to pull them out and take care of them. And then we have sick pens too. And just with the way diseases can spread, it kind of helps. If you find a sick one, to be able to kind of isolate it and give it some extra care, a smaller pen where it's easier to get to feed and water, and it's not competing against some of those bigger ones. So there's a lot that you have to be paying attention to when you're out there caring for livestock.
Make your kids considerate, like of other things, I guess, and hopefully that translates being considerate of our other people, where we're passing on this way of life, and it fits with your Catholic faith because as Catholics, we're meant to be considerate of the goodness around us and to interact with it. And where someone might be down and out is to help them along. And your little kids, they get to learn this just with the pigs, and that I think
Yeah.
they'll translate to people.
Well, and we've even seen them too, if one's gone or had to leave early for an activity before school, the others just naturally pitch in and help with their chores and just take care of it. So even seeing that teamwork aspect and watching them help each other and some problem solving things too, I see it play out within their relationship with each other too, which is really neat to see as the parents.
Wow. Yeah. Well, Brian, I mean, can you comment on the teamwork that farming can allow you to have as a family?
oh yeah, like well, even not even with the kids alone, but like I'm out in the field here, and we got this one just wrapped up and getting ready to move, and my grandpa just showed up out here to help give people rides, and the kids are busy right now, but later on they'll be out here. They get to see some of that and working with family and just kind of how that translate into working with others, and they've even gone out in the pig barn and stuff like that and worked with us, and just to see them, they once they get it figured out exactly and like learn it, kind of almost the excitement that they have. And sometimes we've been out there and they've been helping do chores, and they're 4 or 5 pens ahead of us helping look for a pig that may be sick or something like that. And it's like, we got guys, we got to these as we go, and stuff like that.
Well, that's exciting to see that life in your kids. Now, just because you're on a farm or people are on a farm and they're around each other, not every occasion is there teamwork, and there's difficulties at times and intergenerational ways of doing things. And but there is that truth that the opportunity working on the same thing together of harvesting a crop, raising animals, is that you share that experience as a family. And along with that experience as a family, how has faith been brought in? Maybe you guys could just start with, did you grow up Christian, Catholic? What was your family life or faith life like when you were growing up? And then we can talk more about your own family.
Grew up in a Catholic family, was able to go to a Catholic school until sixth grade. And I guess our church was pretty rural, small Iowa, but where we went to school was kind of like the bigger part of the church cluster. And so we always went to church on Sundays, when, participated in the school activities and things. And then once I went off to college, I don't know, naturally just not without meaning to, kind of fell away. I'd go to church on the weekends, but not necessarily when I was at school. I wasn't as faithful as I should have been. But then with meeting Brian and then deciding to get married, that kind of we started talking about where we would get married and what our family would look like. And then we ultimately decided on getting married as in the Catholic Church and then raising our family Catholic. So, and then since then, I've been able to become a lot more devout and faithful in my faith, I guess, and more prayerful. And now that we've gone through some different trials and things, it's just I've seen how God's had a hand in everything in my life with a little bit more of a better perspective and clarity. And so I just want to live my life as faithfully as I can, which includes raising our children in the faith.
That's awesome. Brian, do you want to add a little from your own story?
Okay, so I was raised Methodist. We went to a small little country church with there's basically two sets of families, and basically the whole left side of the church and the whole right side of the church were related to each other. So being a little bit different, being one of the only kids there would have been me and my sister. So it was a little different upbringing than Brittany, but definitely still connected with faith. I met Brittany at college after we decided to get married. Went through some different classes at the Catholic Church for that. Kind of took me a little, you can say maybe as a slow learner, took me a little bit longer to convert over fully, and now I've been Catholic and since joined the Knights of Columbus and stuff like that, and just can help out with the church and different stuff wherever I can.
Yeah, that's where we met actually. Brian and I were in the Knights of Columbus and once a month get together and the food's always really good. I just think that's great when the guys get together. We got a pancake breakfast coming up soon, don't we, Brian?
Yeah, I believe it's Sunday.
So, but anyway, where did you guys go to college, by the way?
So we went to Iowa State University in Ames,
Okay.
and
So did
we
you,
ended up I was on basically the floor above her, and we were both kind of part of it's like an ag learning group of sorts there, and that's kind of how we met, was through that and through some different classes that we had.
so what were your majors in?
So mine was, I started off agronomy, and then I took some college classes in high school and figured out if I switched to ag studies, I could get done sooner. And I was all about that because I had this
Mhm.
wild idea I needed to get back out into the real world. And sometimes you wonder if what you're thinking when you're younger is the right thing or not, but felt that was the thing to do. That's where I headed.
That's cool. Brittany, what was your major?
Yeah, so mine was kind of a mouthful. I was an agricultural education major, and then with that, you can become certified to be a teacher, or they had a communications option. So I was more interested in the communications option, so I did that. And then I was able to take more like marketing, communications, advertising classes along with the core agricultural classes.
Okay, wow, you guys had a lot of preparation for what you're doing now. With right now, with your faith life as a family, how do you pass on the faith through your example or what you do as a family? I mean, do you pray together before meals or what do you got going on there?
Yeah, we try to incorporate it as much as we can, and obviously there's always room for improvement. But we do pray before meals, and if on the chance we forget, one of the kids will call us out and correct us, so then we stop and pray. We always say prayers before bed, and they kind of have their list that they go through each night, so that's just become part of our routine. And Mass on Sundays is a non-negotiable. Sometimes, like when Brian's in the field, it gets to be a little hectic for me to take all the kids, but we get there and we make it a part of our routine.
There's been a couple times I think I'm one of the 2 or 3 YouTube viewers that are watching live. So I do kind of have a little bit of a story with my faith and with work and stuff, if that
Yeah, can you do
interests
that?
you. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yep.
go right ahead.
So a few years ago, so along with farming, I've always had another job. At the time, I was selling seed with a gentleman in town. Things kind of weren't necessarily working out like they should. I kind of had this opportunity. It was kind of a part-time contract work. I didn't know how stable it was going to be. Wasn't real sure what to do at the time. Kind of prayed about it and probably did the thing you're not supposed to do. And I'm like, man, if I just had a sign, like, that'd make this so much easier decision. And I went to a meeting, and so like part of the the company I was was looking at working for was like a sister company to the company that I was selling seed and stuff for at the time. And I was at the seed meeting, and the seed rep at that time was like, "Oh, hey, I have a sign for you." And when I left, he put a 2-foot by 3-foot sign in the back of my truck with the other company's name on it that I was thinking of going and working for.
No way. Really?
Really?
How?
So if you ever need a sign, careful what you ask for, because you might get a big sign.
Wow. How long are you still with that company?
So I kind of switched roles a little bit, and now I'm switched and became the seed rep. So same parent company and everything, just a little bit different side of the business, kind of back on the seed side.
Sure. Sure. Hey, God does answer prayers, doesn't he?
Oh
But,
yeah, and
we got,
like,
yeah. Oh, hmm
well, just so many times in our lives, like, our in-laws and her parents are a little ways away, traveling here and there, and something little will happen, and the kids will be like, "Oh man, why'd you want to stop here to get gas or whatever? Like, this isn't where we usually stop." And it's like, well, we'll just decide to stop here today for some reason, and you don't really think about it, and you get back going down the road, and all of a sudden, like, here's an accident ahead or something.
Wow.
And just kind of teaching the kids, like, Lord works in mysterious ways, and like, you may have a plan and it may not be his plan, and you just got to learn to adjust and go with it. So
Do you find yourself having those sort of casual conversations with the kids? Maybe pretty simple, but yet really meaningful about, for example, like you said, God has a plan. It's mysterious, but we can
yep,
see it kind of along the way.
yep.
Yeah.
And before we had Bria, we actually ended up having 2 separate miscarriages too. And so the kids, like, we really had them conversations, like, just not in the cards, like, not in the plan, like, it takes a while to kind of come to terms and stuff with, and like, just telling them, like, hey, you can't be questioning your faith during this time. Pray to God, talk to God, but just don't question it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good lesson. I mean, it's a hard one to live
Yep.
Yeah.
sometimes. Well, I appreciate your time today. I think that's a really good point to end on. Love to have you back sometime if you join us. And good luck with the rest of harvest and with the kids. And I forgot to mention to our audience, Brittany is our uh, director of religious education, along with her friend Courtney. So we appreciate everything you do around the parish, Brittany, and maybe I'll see you guys at that pancake dinner.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Soil and Soul, and we hope that it blesses you. Please stay tuned during the week for the other daily shows that we offer as part of this special ministry project we're providing during the peak seasons of planting and harvest. Also, if you'd like to find out more about Catholic Passage, how you might collaborate with us, or even support our mission, please visit us at CatholicPassage.com. Most importantly, you can support us with your prayers. We'll be praying for you. Please pray for us.